Welcome to ZenTen with Jackie Rose, CZT with Zentangle. And here we are, ready to shade, day 5 of this week. So let's take a nice deep breath in as we always do, and out. Start to relax. Let's get in the present moment. And when you're ready, pick up your tortillon. And when I count to 3, you must say tortillon out loud. 1, 2, 3. Tortillon! Very good. And now pick up your pencil, keep your tortillon or your Q-tip, whatever you have for shading nearby, and let's start to shade from the inside out. And we'll start with the first pattern in Zeppel. And using the side of our pencil, let's kind of just bring in a little bit of pencil just in a little area of that orb inside, and then we can blend that in a circular motion, spreading it out, making sure that we're just giving it a little bit of shading, keeping a lot of it white, just bringing some shading in. And we'll do that with, you don't have to do it with all of them, but a lot, we just put a little bit of graphite down on the edge somewhere on that orb, and then take your tortillon in a circular motions, blend it, smooth it out, and then push it out maybe to the sides a little bit. Keep it a nice white area, nice and light. So there's no right or wrong way to shade, especially this pattern. So really just follow your inner artist. The things to remember to help with this shading is to use the side of your tip, not the actual tip, because it will shade and blend better. So just the side of the pencil, just putting a little bit down, then you take your tortillon in its little circular motions, smooth it out just right where it is, and then you can push it out a little bit to cover some other areas of that section. So as we are shading these orbs, we're just focusing on what we're doing, just this one orb. We're in the present moment, we're taking our time, we're just blending it in and then pushing it out a little bit. Now you can also, once you start doing this, once you have some graphite on your tortillon, you can then just use that. You don't even have to put more graphite down on another one, especially little ones. You can kind of just put in like these little tiny ones. You can just use what's left on your tortillon and just kind of little circular motions, one little area, not even worrying about what area it is, just dabbling in that area. So right now I'm just using what's left of my tortillon for some of these little ones. Not even thinking about where it's going, just kind of little circular motion, little dabbing here and there. And then with the bigger ones, I think I'll come back with my pencil, just put a little bit in, blending it out. So let's excuse me, let's do this nice and slow and relax, focusing on how that pencil feels and looks, and how the tortillon feels in your hand. Now what I'm doing is I'm switching hands, right? So I have a pencil in one hand and tortillon in the other, and then I keep switching back. What I used to do, and sometimes I still do, is I'll just put down the pencil when I'm not using it and the tortillon, but I find it a little bit easier just switching hands because I'm going back and forth. And just notice how it's starting to transform already. The shading is just amazing, how it transforms our tiles or patterns. It gives it that 3D look. It gives it depth, it makes it pop, it helps separate the patterns from each other. It just makes it look it's almost like a finished look, you know, it just gives it a nice finished look. And it's fun to do. I was teaching a class once without shading because it was a short class and a free class once a month. Excuse me. And one day I introduced shading to them, and a lot of them had never even heard of shading before. They just were coming to my classes. And once I showed them the shading, they were like, my whole life has changed. Where have I been? Where has this shading been? They just really fell in love with it. So what I'm doing now, if you notice, I'm actually I'm focusing on the outline, the outer edge of this whole pattern, inside the edge, just in the edge. And I'm just giving it some nice shading and blending, just staying very close to the edge. Oh, I call it an aura, like an aura outline. But as I do it, you can see it's kind of already lifting off the paper. Gives it that illusion that it's lifting off the paper, especially right around here. So the more I shade in this on the outside edge, the more it gives it that 3D look. And then you can bring it in a little bit. So I'm starting to bring in the layers just a little bit. Still staying along the edges, but just bringing it in one more layer. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's move on to the next pattern, which is Kiko. And for this pattern, I'm going to kind of do the same thing I just did here, where we're just going to put in some graphite right along the edge of this pattern, using the side of the pencil, putting down, giving it a shaded aura, if you will, just like a little, putting on just the edge. And I'm going to come back now and do it on the reverse side. So now I'm giving it right inside the edge of this pattern, just a little bit. You can always add more later. And now we're going to blend that in using little circular motions. Facing the tortillon towards that edge. And then doing the same on that inside edge. And as I'm going in circular motions, I'm kind of just bringing it out just a little bit, giving it another layer. And that's all it really needs. Now if you want, you can see wherever it looks like it's going underneath is a nice place to add a little shading. So right where it looks like it's going underneath here, I'll put a little bit of, and right now I'm just using what's left of my tortillon because there's a lot of graphite on here now, and I'm just gonna make it a little bit darker where it looks like it's going underneath, right along those edges where they connect. And that's just kind of a technique where in any pattern, wherever it looks like it's going underneath, it's a good place to shade. All right, I like it. Okay, so let's now move on to poke leaf. And with poke leaf, I'm just going to shade one side just a little bit. And I'm going to turn my tile so that my tortillon is facing the edge. And I'm just going to blend that in, staying on one side. And I can push that out a little bit to have another layer. And I think I'm going to alternate the sides. Because in Zentangle, we don't have to worry about where the light source is coming from. We just have to focus on just how do we want it to look. Not how we don't want to really how, because we don't want to focus on the outcome, but that's more about um, paying attention to our inner artist rather than thinking about, oh, where's the light source coming from? We don't have to think about that because Zentangle is meditative and we just want to follow and intuitive, meditative and intuitive and relaxing. So we just want to just not stress, just relax and enjoy what we're doing. So I'm going to be quiet now so you can enjoy focusing on the shading in a nice relaxed way. Going a lot slower than me. On shading day, the recording tends to be a little bit longer. So I just like to show you the shading and then you can kind of go at your own pace. So let's slow it down. And now we're going to shade Perk. This is the pattern called Perk. And so for Perk, I think I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to bring it all along the edge very lightly now, using the side of the pencil, very lightly doing that outer edge, or putting a little graphite down. And I'm going to do the inside as well. And I do this because it's a spiral, and when we do this with a spiral, it just gives it more of that 3D look. And it's really, I think it's really, really cool. So all patterns, first of all, there's many, many different ways to shade a pattern. And a lot of it depends how you're using that pattern. What is the string? So since this string is like a spiral, I'm going to shade it this way. And of course, you're free to shade any way you want. And to me, that's all it needs. We've got nice shaded on the edges, and the ones in the middle kind of really light up. And you might want to go around again, maybe another layer, darken it a little bit. You can always add more graphite. Sometimes I add graphite if it needs it. Otherwise, I'll just go over with my tortillon and just give it some more blending. And we tend to go faster. Well, I tend to go faster with the shading, as you can see, but you don't have to go this fast. Go at your own pace, what feels good to you. Remember, when you're done, you want to sign your artwork anywhere, and it's a good idea to date your artwork. I have it dated on the other side of this paper, so you can date it either the front, the back, if it's in a journal, off to the side. And it's always good to put where you are as well. So you could put ZenTen on YouTube with Jacki Rose, or however you want to designate, so you can remember where you did this. Now please give me a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, I want to see what you did. So please go to the Facebook page. It's Zentangle, so facebook.com/Zentangle, and post in the designated post a copy of what you did, so we can all admire each other's beautiful artwork and see how different each one came out. And if you haven't been to my website lately, check it out at Zentangle.com. So thanks for being here, and hopefully we'll see you next week.